Now, it seems that modern democracies have a huge, major problem, and that is citizens talking with each other. The same conversation that you can have on a bar or you can have on a street is considered unacceptable by the elites. And so they have to make sure that the place where people talk, the place where you can have an instant conversation and thousands of people can hear you, is inaccessible. Because for a huge while of human history, this was definitely the case. The only people that had the podium were either the ones that created the newspaper or the ones that ran a television network. It was unthinkable for the average peasant to just be able to go online, share an opinion, and if that opinion resonates with his fellow citizens, then it would get spread like a virus. It could become a meme. And that is extremely dangerous for our democracy. And so back in 2016, especially after Donald Trump won the election, there was a lot of talk in order to protect young girls online from bullying and harassment. And they tried to do the exact same thing that they are doing now. They tried to police the internet. And it had some limited success. I mean, most of the trust and safety councils that we see on major platforms, that's how they got implemented. You had activists that pushed payment processors to deplatform certain politicians like Nigel Farage, or to deplatform smaller platforms like, for instance, Parler, and other content creators, right? Like they got kicked from the internet, and it looked as if they violated the terms of service of YouTube. They violated the terms of service of Facebook, of Twitter, like, for instance, Alex Jones, right? Like, it seemed that all of a sudden all these platforms had something against him, when in reality it was activists pressuring payment processors, government pressuring social media, and that's how pretty much it happened. And we know cases like, for instance, Brazil, like the moment that Twitter changed the leadership, and now you had Elon Musk, he comes out and he says, like, well, Brazil asked us to censor, but not over the table. Like, it didn't come as a request for censorship from Brazil. They asked us to ban certain politicians, to ban certain journalists for terms of service violations. So the illusion that my private company does whatever it wants was what Brazil was interested in. And chances are that other social media companies like Facebook, or even the Jack Dorsey of old, have complied with many such requests. I mean, Facebook itself, they said that when they were requested to censor, either on behalf of the pandemic or either on behalf of the Hunter Biden laptop story, they complied, right? So, like, the government, especially the United States, which has a constitution that guarantees free speech, the government cannot be viewed as censoring its citizens, but apparently you can launder the censorship on social media now. Unfortunately, however, it's not very efficient. Like, number one, it makes the government look like the bad guy, and while there don't seem to be consequences short term, long term, a lot of politicians risk losing their jobs. They don't get paid anymore because after the pandemic, many of the politicians that actually implemented the measures, especially in Europe, ended up without getting that fat paycheck because people voted them out. The same situation happened in the United States with the Hunter Biden stuff. Like, a lot of Democrats lost their paychecks. And so they don't like the system. Well, what they would want is a system where, again, like, the image is that the social media companies are the ones doing the censorship, not them. They want to create the illusion in the mind of the people that the censorship is not actually a matter of policy or a matter of left-wing versus right-wing. It's a matter of decency and common sense. And so they managed to push for this nonsense, the age verification stuff, which, as you can probably see, like, no one was really that worried 6 years ago, right? Like, you can notice that the conversation itself is astroturfed. Like, anyone that was born with the internet and used the internet, like, they were aware, okay, like, there is pornography on the internet, but normally, like, you have to go out of your way to find it. And they knew, like, yeah, sure, you know, like, kids can have access to it, but that's the very reason why parental controls exist. Like, in 2025, there is no device without parental controls. You can even ask your ISP to give you the ability so that if you set a second computer in your house, websites from it can't be accessed. Like, in 2025, if you're a parent, you're like an eldritch deity when it comes to your child. Like, you're an omnipresent entity in every aspect of his life if you want so. You can even buy him an Apple Watch and check his heartbeat when your kid is like 5 kilometers away from your house. There is absolutely no excuse or reason or justification of why the government should get involved in this. But a lot of useful idiots online, I have seen them. You know, they generally coveted this. I watched the interview with Gavin McInnes and Tim Pool. And even now, Gavin McInnes, like, oh, well, on the surface, the government censoring pornography is a good thing, meaning that they haven't learned anything about how power works, about how getting your foot in the door works. Like, no, they genuinely think that, well, the government is this benevolent entity that will just give us what we want and is not a monkey paw generator. But regardless of the fact, you know, these laws seem to be here. And as you can see in this article, it's saying that age verification is coming to the whole internet. And it's not like a threat or anything. It's the reality, right? Like, it's not a wishful thinking. It's like them pointing the obvious because so many nations, within the span of a couple of years, and when I say a couple, I mean 1 or 2 years, are passing these types of legislations, right? So, like, Britain is the first that passed. They're called Ofcom. But the European Union is passing its version as well. The United States has 3 in the line. Canada has its own legislation. Australia is coming with one. There's pretty much 12, if not 14, different nations that are pushing similar to Ofcom legislation. And the whole purpose of it, like, allegedly, is to make sure that kids don't go online. Now, normally there could be many ways of accomplishing this. One of the ways would be to force companies to have certain phones or devices that are kids only, and the device at a hardware level simply blocks certain content. I have seen phones using AI to the point where if you put your camera in real time on a naked person, like, the camera immediately goes black. Right, like, the AI scans what it's seeing in real time and refuses to show anything lewd. Another way would be to actually make it a crime for children to have access to smartphones, like the same way that in some states it's a crime for children to have access to alcohol. Like, if you think it's that important, right? I mean, the idea is that pornography hampers the development of the brain and that it's addictive, which fair enough, but, like, so is social media, right? So is content that shows extreme violence. Like, a 10-year-old can see something violent online and then try to reproduce it in real life. There have been many cases of this, right? And so if we go by maximum safetyism standards, kids should definitely not have access to the internet. And so if you make smartphones to be like having alcohol, like, sure, you know, like, some kids who parents allow will have smartphones in their homes. But, like, outside of that school, it would be illegal for them to have it. So, like, again, here's another type of legislation where you can keep children away from sensitive content without having to dox the entire world. But no, the decision that they actually went with is to dox the entire world. So, like, if your mother wants to come on my Reddit or your mother wants to come on my Discord, she has to dox herself in order to keep children safe. And so people are realizing, like, hold on a little bit, this is kind of destroying the internet. Because pornography is everywhere. It's on Reddit, it's on Twitter, it's on Google search. Like, almost, like the idea is that most people don't see it because they don't look for it. But, like, if you do look for it, you will find it. Even on the NVIDIA app, right? So I didn't even know it's there, but it is. And so the NVIDIA app requires people now to dox themselves. And so, who is pushing for this? Well, as I mentioned before, like, the United Kingdom, Australia, many other nations. And the way it's done, it's not to go after the user that watches pornography, right? It's to go after the platform. So the platform is obligated to read international legislation. Like, it doesn't really matter where the platform is located, whether it's in the United States or in Ireland or doesn't matter. it has to read global legislation from at least a dozen countries with different requirements and recommendations. Like, for instance, some countries consider that if websites host at least a third of their content as adult material, they have to comply. Other legislations, like the European Union, makes exceptions for companies that are small and companies that are large. The United Kingdom makes no exception. And so if you're a company that serves internationally, which legislation do you follow? And the answer is the strictest, right? Like, you're going to look at what is the strictest, and that is the United Kingdom, and you're going to follow that. Because if you follow that, you follow all the others, and the cost for compliance is actually smaller. And so it completely discourages new websites. It completely discourages new places like Parler, places like Rumble. It completely destroys competition, and this is why big tech absolutely loves it. It creates a new cottage industry of websites that do this verification, like the ones that are going to take your ID and look at it. I don't know any of these websites. I don't know who funded them. I don't know who they ran. I don't know where the money goes. But now I'm forced to work with them, right? Everyone is. Like, if you want to use the internet, the moment you show your face or you show your driving license, well, that goes into some company's records. And again, I've no idea who those companies are. I've no idea who their shareholders are. But I have to give them my personal data if I want to go online. It's absolute madness. And it seems that even if you were to repeal some legislation, like let's say the people in Britain have common sense and they vote for someone that's not retarded, and the person goes like, all right, well, this is a little bit too extreme, let's repeal it or let's amend it, you still end up with Australia. You still end up with the United States that could pass one of these legislations, or Canada, right? So like, it's going to be very difficult to unfuck the internet once it's completely screwed. And of course, you know, like governments, they don't really care about passing a law that just protects children. It's like, well, as long as we're here, they as well look for misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and all of these things, you know, like these extremist content is whatever the culture or the context at the time demands. Like, for instance, when I was a kid, I remember that in nations under the Iron Curtain, extremist content was any type of content that was promoting capitalism. Like, they were calling it bourgeois degeneracy, right? So, like, anything that was promoting that way of life was considered extremist. Now, extremist content is being against immigration. Like, forced migration is an act of God. Like, Jesus Christ in the Bible said nations in Europe should have no borders and allow as many immigrants in. And any conversation on how that immigration is handled or any type of protest is extremist content. The only thing that's allowed is wanting even more. Like, if you demand that labor isn't doing enough and we need to vote politicians that will increase the migration quota, that's probably allowed. But anything other than that is bad. And so this is the internet that moral people, right, like incredibly moral actors, have wished upon us. Some of them were concerned about sexualization of women. Others declared an anime jihad. Other people were genuinely concerned with pornography and OnlyFans. And apparently they got their wish, right? The government has decided to step in and monkey-pawed their wish into reality. Now, what I think is going to happen, usually a law that's not actually supported by people is not enforced. And so I think this is beyond ridiculous, and more importantly, it hurts a lot of normies. Like, moral busybodies, especially caras, you know, the ones that carbon date anime waifus, it's like, oh my goodness, like this character in the anime, yeah, she's got massive tits and a plump ass, but didn't you know she's 17, you fucking moron? Why is she in a bathing suit? Well, those type of people are not in my backyard, right? So, like, when it happens to the stuff that they like, when it happens to their Discords, when it happens to their Reddit, and now they have to dox themselves, well, you can't really harass the Japanese artist when you gotta dox yourself, right? So it's an inconvenience. And, yeah, like, individuals like that are going to notice, oh shit, I'm getting banned for hate speech now, I'm getting banned for threats, and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, they're not going to appreciate this type of legislation. And so when a lot of people don't appreciate something, either it gets repealed because like the people genuinely start making a significant impact in order for elections to be affected, and when a politician goes like, oh shit, like I can actually lose my paycheck, well, that's not good. Or they can just simply stop enforcing the law, right? Like these types of laws require people to actually scan the internet, to flag certain websites, to rat, to snitch. And when the rats and the snitch are like, well, you know, this is not really that good, then you end up with the same situation that you ended up with piracy. Like a lot of websites exist for piracy because like there is no will to actually enforce the bans. And most people that were the enforcers were also pirating back in the day. And so like there was no interest in cracking down. Same thing that happened with the pandemic. Like a lot of people just disagreed with the measures, and so they started vaccinating by the sink. Police officers saw people wearing chin diapers in my country and didn't say anything. So that's pretty much what's going to happen. I think like for the next 5 or 10 years, the internet is going to be fucked. And then you're going to witness a small period of unfucking. Probably not entirely, but sufficient enough to get the internet a little bit back to where it used to be. If that doesn't happen, well, then people are just going to have to learn to beat themselves in real life, right? The main issue that's happening here is that the way of life of modern citizens is going down. It's not going up. Like everywhere in the world right now, as far as I know, life is actually worse than it used to be in 2019 for many individuals. And so what politicians are trying to do, they're trying to manage opinion rather than to fix the issues. And unfortunately, you can't algorithm your way out of a crisis. What they are going to realize is that, okay, well, people can't talk online. That's fine. They're going to talk face to face. Like politics has existed and was made before the internet. And if the internet becomes unfit for purpose, if it becomes like a totalitarian state where every joke that you do can and will be used against you, well, they're just going to go in real life. They're going to start going at meetings. They're going to meet themselves into the pub as they used to, right? And they're going to organize like legit conversations and unfiltered ideas outside of the internet. And it's going to completely catch the politicians by surprise. That's my take. We'll see if I'm right or not. Again, give it 5 or 10 years. I think like this bullshit is actually true. Like age verification is going to be on the internet at a level probably worse than China, because I don't think even China asks you to dox yourself to update your graphics drivers. But after a period of time, you're going to see pushback against it, because it's affecting way too many people. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you on my live stream. Take care.